Hi, Jimmy. So, Jimmy, you're an old friend of mine. I want you to introduce yourself, if you don't mind, and tell us where you're from.
Okay, my name is Jimmy Dick. I'm from James Bay, Canada, Cree Nation. And I came here on the weekend to come and run the ceremony for you and your family and for the work you do here at Blue Star Agriculture. And you work primarily with horses, so glad to be here.
Yeah, and we really deeply appreciate you coming and praying for our horses. It means a lot to us because, you know, we struggle a lot to find the courage sometimes, and we need to be spiritually strong to do this work, and thanks to friends like you that come and help us and strengthen us, we're able to do it, and do it with the real clear intention of being useful for the horses. So you gave us many teachings, but one of the teachings that you spoke about were the special ceremonies that your people have for the horses. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure.
The horse dancing ceremony?
Sure. Our people, from the Cree Nation in Saskatchewan and Alberta, they have this ceremony called the horse dance, and it usually takes place when the same time as the sun dance goes on. And then after sun dance, they would do this horse dance ceremony, and to honor the horses, the spirit of the horse. And in our language, we call them, in English it means like in Cree it means Mr. Dim. Mr. Dim in English translation means a big dog. And they do this ceremony every summer, and till the fall. Till September the latest they have this ceremony, and it's a real beautiful ceremony. They do a pipe ceremony, they pray, they have a feast, and then they have these horses run around in a circle around the altar, and every time and people are singing on hand drum, they're singing these songs, these horse dance ceremony songs, and when you see them when they go around, they really look like they're dancing, to the rhythm of the drum, it's really awesome to see, and
They must feel so honored and special.
Yes, yeah, and they dress them up real nice. They paint them up, and they have this big whip. Everybody touches first when the ceremony starts. It represents like the tail of the horse.
Wow.
So they bless themselves with that, and then they can sit in the ceremony, and then they stand on the inside of the circle and watch these horses come around and dance. It's really beautiful ceremony.
Wow. And are these just any horses?
Yeah, all types of horses you have, big and small, and
You've offered to come and do this ceremony with your people here for our horses.
Yes, I would really like to see that happen here, because of the work you do, and
yeah,
and then also to show the people that there's a ceremony that goes on with the horses, probably not even really aware of that. And,
absolutely.
And I can, talk to some friends of mine from my area or up in Alberta, Saskatchewan, to come down here and to do the ceremony itself,
What time of year would be a good time to do this?
I guess, as long as I'm not out sun dancing, I'll be able to,
so maybe the
plan
fall or late summer.
Yeah, in one of those times, And
yeah. Well, we'll definitely work on that, and what an honor. So what do your people think about the horse, and what do you think their medicine is?
Well, from what I believe, like what I heard is like they're related with the thunder beings, relations, and also that they really helped our people in long ago, when getting around, traveling around all over, on this land where they hadn't any cars or any airplanes,
That's right, yeah. Which they've done for all of us.
Yes, yeah.
And that's, your people have honored them. Unfortunately, our people have discarded them in a big way. And they're in terrible risk, you know, in the world, especially in our country here. We supply a lot of the horse meat that goes to Europe, and a lot of the horses that are being slaughtered are actually pets and friends, and it's because people can't afford to keep them anymore. And we're on the front lines of this, and this is something that I prayed about how difficult it is to love them so much and understand how special they are, but then watch them suffer or be put through something that it's unconscionable, really, when they're so sacred. And so how do you feel about that kind of disconnect? How do your people, when they see that this type of thing happens in the Western culture, do you pray about it, or do you... It must be so confusing and hard to see people discard things that are so sacred.
Well, you know, I think, you know, what they say, you know, whatever happens to the animals, all happens to the people too, you know.
Yeah.
You know, just they give themselves, you know, for our life, you know, so we can survive here.
Yeah.
You know, and if they start to, you know, be treated like that, then, you know, our people won't be here too long either. You know, the ways of, you know,
wow,
technology and things like that they, you know,
yeah,
money, they all thrive on, you know. And
wow, it's so true, huh? That, you know, it's so it's so true. It's playing out as we in these days, these times. You know, we have damaged so much of our relationship with the earth and with the animals on it, and so that's why when we started this organization, I called you and I asked you to be a founding member, which you are, because I felt like we can't possibly do this work or understand the importance of this work without the help of our Indian friends. And you're a very dear old friend of mine, and you've been in my life a long time, and I felt like, you know, you really understand my family and the things that my intention, and I really appreciate that you love us the way that you do, and you take care of us and you honor us by making that big long trip down here to see us, and on a train, or sometimes you're stuck for 12 hours, and you know, you leave your family, and it really, really means a lot to us to support you as much as we can. So we asked you last visit that you were here praying with us if you would be willing to join us in New York City, because you know there's a terrible what would you call it, threat to the working horses in New York City. There's a lot of misconception around those workhorses and their well-being. There's radical animal activists that think that they understand, or that they think that they know that these horses are suffering, when clearly they're not. I mean, it's as simple as looking at them and visiting their stables, and you can see these horses have homes, and they're fed, and they have a job, and they don't mind the work that they do. They've been building civilization right along with us. They just, you know, they just need us to take care of them, and they need us to be alongside of them. But there's a whole huge effort to get rid of them, and by getting rid of them out of the city, especially those horses, they're at risk again for being homeless, and stopping that tradition would end a big part of American culture and history. And what are your thoughts? Would you like, I mean, I know you've offered to join us down there. There's a big meeting that we'll be having in April we can talk about, but you've told me that you do support us there. And what are your thoughts about that kind of fanatical, radical animal rights position? I know you must go have it with people up in your tribes, where they think that you're whale hunting, for example, by the tribes is really bad, and so they would go and try to protest and stop your people from doing what they do, which is a sacred bond that they have with the whales. How do you feel about all of that?
well, every once in a while, sometimes we used to have a clash with the animal rights people, and sometimes it's really out of arrogance and ignorance on their part, you know, like, because some of the clothes they wear, a lot of it came from animals, you know, and as telling us that we're, you know, hurting the animals and things like that, you know. But they don't understand there's a big ceremony that goes involved, you know. We go hunting and different animals, you know, and then we harvest the animals. We don't, you know, just take, you know, one thing out of them, and you know, so. And those times when we did clash with them, you know, like we told them, what are you guys talking about, you know? You guys have clothing that came from animals, you know? So kind of educate them a little bit about that.
And how, in our country, industrial slaughter is a horrible experience for an animal. It's not sacred in any way. And it's suffering, and it's a disconnect from the feelings of those animals. And yeah, it's a terrible thing to put them at risk for. And yeah, these children, these people, these fanatical animal activists, they want to see this world where we don't have a relationship or touch animals at all, yet the animals are here to be with us, you know.
Yes, and also, you know, the horses too, they could be used for like a program, a healing program, you know.
Exactly.
You know, horses, like medicine, you know, and,
yes.
they have a good understanding of things, you know, and we use them in our ceremonies too, you know, like the sun dance, they bring the horse in to take part, you know, in what we do there, and so, you know, just got to learn, just got to educate people, I guess, again, about, you know, what they could do with these horses, and, you know, have a safe environment for them, you know.
Yeah, and how important they are to us. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, you know, like I said, I'd just like to be of help, you know, and be available to come and, you know, come and talk someplace again, or come and do ceremony, you know.
Good.
Yeah.
We'll be talking to you about this big event that we're planning in April with people from all over the country coming and supporting the working horses in New York. And I have a lot of Indian friends in the city in New York, and I know you do, and we'll see if we can bring a group together to pray on that day for them, because we really do have to try to protect these horses. These horses are loved, and they have meaningful work. Then with their own special medicine in the city, they bring, some people never get to see a horse except for right there, and they belong there where we are, and they're loved and cared for. So maybe we can do some prayers for them down in New York, and take a trip together. So, Jimmy, would you like to say a little prayer in your language for our horses again, and so our people can hear these beautiful words, and maybe you know, bow their heads a little and listen to this prayer? I'm just so grateful that it comes in this way, in this ancient way, from your people, and I'm so grateful for you being here in this very serious and sincere way with us. Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whisky do dog and chicken, we stay in the which dodging thing, you do chicken, take with the west cut, you know, the magnus, not say geese, you got which, you know, and get back a wee chinese, and at the modular, Mr. Demon, and Magnus, the blue stars of culture, and second check a day, you know, get them rushing to the go to have a tune, test the modular, and Mr. Them, you can ask them, Magan, day, which we say, no, walk Magan, me, but.
Oh. Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah,
okay.
Welcome.